The 165th battle begins. The Galactic Council chamber was alive with noise, laughter, and pride. The Kortok Empire had done it again. They had crushed their 164th enemy in less than a decade. Their fleets, shining with silver armor and firepower, had left another species begging for mercy. Every race sitting in the chamber knew the story. The Kortok were undefeated, unstoppable, and arrogant beyond measure. Their leader, High Admiral Xylar, stood tall at the center. His uniform glittered with medals earned through endless victories. His voice was sharp and cold as he spoke to the gathering. "Another victory," he declared. "Another civilization bowed before us. None have ever resisted us, and none ever will." The chamber roared with applause. But then, one alien raised the question no one else dared to ask. A smaller council member from the Veyron species leaned forward, his face nervous. "What of Earth?" he whispered. The laughter that followed shook the room. Earth to them was nothing, just a backwater planet filled with humans, a young race with little technology. The council mocked them as farmers and storytellers. Unfit for the stars, Admiral Xylar smirked. "Earth?" he said loudly. "Earth will be our 165th victory. We will burn their skies and grind their people into dust. They will not even have the honor of surrender." The council cheered. The decision was made. The Kortok would send their fleet to Sul on Earth. The humans already knew. They had listened quietly, watched silently, and prepared. Unlike the other species, Earth never begged the council for mercy. Humanity had stayed quiet, building in secret, hiding its true strength. Every human leader remembered the insults, the laughter, the threats, and they waited for the day when the Kortok arrogance would finally arrive at their doorstep. The Kortok fleet launched 2 weeks later. A storm of steel and plasma engines filled the void. Thousands of warships stretched across the darkness. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, carriers, all prepared for another simple conquest. "Set course for Sol," Admiral Xylar commanded. His crew obeyed, confident, arrogant, proud. To them, this was just another hunt, another easy victory. They carried songs of triumph with them, mocking chants of how weak humans were. Some even placed bets on how many hours the battle would last. Most said less than 10, but not everyone shared the laughter. Captain Rylox, one of Xylar's younger officers, felt uneasy. He had read the scout reports carefully. Humans were strange. They did not beg. They did not threaten. They simply said nothing. He approached the admiral, his voice low. "Sir, may I ask something?" Xylar waved a careless hand. "Speak, but make it quick." Rylox hesitated. "The humans, no one truly knows what they have. All our intelligence is old, scattered. We call them weak, but we have never truly fought them. Do you not find their silence strange?" The admiral laughed in his face. "Silence? It is fear, boy, nothing more." "But sir," Rylox pressed, "what if it is not fear? What if it is preparation?" Xylar's eyes narrowed. For a moment the chamber was quiet. Then he shook his head and sneered. "You are young, Captain. Victory is certain. Do not waste my time with ghost stories." The laughter of the bridge. Crew returned, but Rylox could not shake the cold feeling growing in his chest. Back on Earth, shadows stirred beneath the oceans, deep within the crust, and far beyond the orbit of the moon. Machines older than many realized began to awaken. They were silent giants, black as the void, their shapes hidden from prying eyes. No human spoke of them. No announcement was made. The world carried on as normal. Farmers worked their fields. Children went to school. Cities thrived. But deep underground in hidden bases, alarms flashed silently, waiting for the enemy to cross the line. The Kortok fleet entered the edge of Sol. Their ships glittered. Like blades in the dark, their scanners reached out, hungry to detect Earth's defenses. Yet what they found was nothing. Empty, one officer reported. No fleets, no defenses, just quiet planets and a weak signal from Earth. The crew laughed again. Admiral Xylar leaned back in his chair, smiling. "Pathetic," he said. "Just as I promised, they will be our easiest conquest." But Captain Rylox's hands trembled at the console. His scanners flickered for a brief second. Something had appeared, then vanished. A shadow, massive and silent, moving between Mars and Jupiter. He tried to focus, but the reading was gone, erased, sir. Something is here, he whispered, something big. The Admiral glared. You are imagining things, Captain. Do not spoil the victory before it begins. Yet Rylox knew, deep inside, the silence of Earth was not fear. It was the silence of a predator waiting for the perfect strike. And so the 165th battle began. The arrogant empire of the Kortok laughed as they marched into Sol, confident of another victory. But somewhere in the darkness of space, humanity waited, unseen, unheard, preparing to show the galaxy a truth no one was ready to face. What the Kortok thought would be their easiest triumph was about to become their final nightmare, humanity's silence. The Kortok fleet drifted deeper into the Sol system, their engines burning bright. Their banners of victory flashed across the void. The crews laughed, boasting of how quickly the humans would kneel. But something was wrong. Every other species had begged before the first strike. They had sent desperate messages, offered gold, slaves, or their own leaders. They cried for mercy and bent their knees before the Kortok even fired their first weapon. Yet Earth said nothing. No messages, no surrender, not even a protest. It was as if the humans had vanished. On the bridge of the flagship Bloodfang, Admiral Xylar leaned on his command throne. His voice echoed across the control deck. Do you see? This is what fear looks like. The humans are too terrified to speak. Their silence is surrender. The officers laughed, cheering their admiral. They saw Earth as already defeated, but Captain Rylox could not ignore the chill crawling down his spine. His scanners showed strange flickers again, shadows that came and went faster than light. They were not planets, not asteroids, and not ghosts. Something moved in the dark, he whispered. Sir, I must report again. There are signals faint, but they exist. Ships, perhaps, or weapons cloaked from our scans. Xylar slammed his fist against the chair. You dare question me again? The humans are cowards, Captain. You will learn that soon enough. Rylox fell silent, but his eyes stayed fixed on the screens. In the Galactic Council chamber far away, the debate had begun. Many races watched the fleet's progress with interest. Some hoped the humans would fall. Others prayed the humans would resist. The council chambers buzzed with whispers. Why do they remain silent? Asked one delegate. Surely they must know what is coming, perhaps, another said slowly. Perhaps they do know, that is why they are silent. The idea spread like fire in dry grass. Could it be? Was humanity not silent from fear, but from confidence? The council grew uneasy. Yet no one dared speak too loudly, for none wished to attract the Kortok's wrath. Meanwhile, on Earth, the silence was not weakness, it was preparation. Deep. Beneath the oceans, submarines built not for war with nations, but for war with galaxies stayed hidden, their hulls coated in black alloys, invisible to alien scans. Above the skies, satellites that appeared like dead metal husks were in fact eyes and weapons, watching every movement of the alien fleet. In mountain bunkers, commanders sat in silence. Their orders were clear. Do not speak, do not respond, do not reveal. Humanity would not show its hand until the moment came. Back in the fleet, unease grew. A junior officer whispered to Rylox, "Why do we hear nothing from them? Not even a cry?" Every other conquest began with pleas, but here, it feels like walking into a trap. Rylox gave no answer. But in his mind, he already knew something about this silence was wrong. On the third day inside Sol, more ships reported flickers on their sensors, strange shapes on the edge of vision, a shadow on Jupiter's rings, a brief flash behind Neptune. But when they checked, nothing remained. Some crew grew nervous, others laughed at their fear. The humans are playing hide and seek, one officer joked. They think shadows will scare us. But at night, when the lights dimmed and the engines hummed, whispers spread through the fleet. Men and women muttered that perhaps the humans were not weak at all. Perhaps they were predators waiting in the dark. Admiral Xylar ignored them all. Prepare the fleet, he commanded. We descend upon Earth in 3 days. We will scorch their world. We will show the galaxy there is no strength in silence. His words rang strong, but in the shadows of the bridge, even he felt a small doubt growing, for victories came with noise, screams, cries, panic. But this endless silence from Earth, it was unnatural. It was wrong. On Earth, the silence continued. A little girl played in a park, laughing with her friends. Farmers worked their fields. A fisherman pulled nets from the sea. To outsiders, life looked normal, calm, ordinary, but hidden deep in Earth's command center's red lights glowed. Generals spoke in low voices, their faces hard, their eyes sharp. "They are here," one said, pointing at the fleet's position. "We do not fire yet, we wait. And when they strike first?" Another asked. The first general smiled grimly. "Then the galaxy will finally understand why humans never speak until it is too late." Back in the void, Captain Rylock sat at his console. His hands trembled slightly as another shadow flickered across his screen, this one larger than before. Darker, closer, he whispered to himself. "They are here. Watching us." He turned toward his admiral, desperate to warn him again. But before he could speak, the alarms rang. A sensor officer shouted, "Contact! Unknown mass detected. No transponder, no signal, just..." And then it vanished again, as if the universe itself erased it. The silence of Earth was no longer empty. It was heavy, watching, waiting, crushing the arrogance of those who thought themselves eternal victors. The Kortok still laughed, but in the shadows of space, something, far older, far darker, had already chosen them as prey. The arrival at Sol, the Kortok fleet entered deeper into the Sol system, their ships spreading like a storm across the dark. Engines burned bright, hulls gleamed like knives in the void. This was their pride, their arrogance. The fleet that had crushed 164 civilizations now aimed its weapons at one quiet blue planet. At first, everything seemed empty. Scanners swept across the system. Their signals bounced from planet to planet, Mercury, Venus, Mars, dead rocks. Nothing moved. Nothing. "Fought back. Where are they?" one officer muttered. His voice carried unease. "There are no defenses, no patrols, nothing." Admiral Xylar laughed, shaking his head. "Fools, you are frightened by shadows. Earth is weak. They hide like children. We will burn their world." In less than a day, the crew cheered. Their arrogance blinded them, but not everyone shared their confidence. Captain Rylox stood at his station, eyes fixed on the scanner displays. He saw something, just for a second. A massive object between Mars and Jupiter. A shadow that did not belong. A dark shape, larger than any asteroid, moving too smoothly to be natural. "Sir," he said sharply, "there is something there. A mass reading." "Gone again?" Xylar interrupted, laughing cruelly. "You speak of ghosts once more, Captain. Enough of this fear. There is nothing here but rocks and weak humans." But Rylox could not ignore the truth. The shadow had been real. Something was out there watching them. The fleet pressed onward. They passed Jupiter, its storms raging below like endless eyes. They passed Saturn, its rings glittering like blades. Everywhere their scanners reached. But the silence remained. Not one human ship came forward. Not one warning was broadcast. The fleet expected fear, but instead they found emptiness. Some of the younger crew began to whisper, "Why do they not answer? Why do they not resist?" "It is wrong," another muttered. "Too wrong." On Earth, however, silence was not surrender. In hidden bases beneath mountains, commanders watched the fleet's every move. Massive holographic maps tracked the alien ships as they crossed the solar system. "Hold positions," one general ordered. "Do not reveal. Let them come closer." In deep space, dark machines moved silently, cloaked in black, invisible to scans. They shifted through the void like hunters stalking prey, their weapons charged, their eyes fixed on the invaders. Humanity had waited for this moment for decades. They would not strike early. They would not waste their chance. By the 6th day of the invasion, the Kortok reached Earth's orbit. From space, the blue world hung below them, oceans glimmering, continents glowing with lights. It looked fragile, defenseless. The alien crews laughed again. Some even opened channels to mock. "Humans!" one officer shouted over a broadcast. "Hear us. Your skies will burn. Your children will scream. Kneel before the empire of Kortok." But Earth did not reply. No voice answered. No plea for mercy came. Only silence, heavy and calm. Inside the flagship Bloodfang, unease began to spread. Captain Rylox whispered, "They are watching us." "I feel it," Siler scoffed. "You feel nothing but weakness. The humans are prey and we are the hunters." But even he could not deny the tension. The silence of Earth was not normal. It pressed on the minds of every soldier like a weight. That night cycle. The fleet drifted in orbit around Earth. Thousands of warships aimed their guns downward, waiting for the final command to fire. And then, something happened. One of the dreadnoughts vanished. No explosion, no signal, just gone. Alarms blared across the fleet. Crews shouted, "Contact lost. Ship Viral Fang has disappeared." "What do you mean disappeared?" Xylar roared. "Find them." Scanners swept, but there was nothing. No debris, no wreckage, not even a single piece of metal. It was as if the massive ship had been swallowed whole. Fear rippled through the fleet. An accident? One officer whispered, "A reactor breach?" "No," Rylock said quietly, staring at the scanners. "This is not an accident. Something took them." Before anyone could reply, another alarm sounded. A second ship was gone, and then a third, vanishing into the void without a trace. The crews panicked, shouting, screaming. Some tried to fire weapons blindly into the dark, but their shots struck only emptiness. "Where are they?" Voices cried. "What is happening?" But no one had an answer. Admiral Xylar's pride faltered for the first time. His voice shook with anger. "Form defensive lines," he shouted. "Raise shields. They dare play tricks with us, but we will crush them." Yet even as he spoke, the shadows moved again. Silent giants slipping between the alien ships, unseen, unfelt, striking faster than light. Another dreadnought disappeared, and another. In the council chambers across the galaxy, whispers spread like fire. Reports came in of silence, of missing ships, of strange shadows in Sol. "Not even wreckage." One delegate gasped, "Not even wreckage is found." The truth began to sink in. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity had been silent because it was hunting. The predators of the galaxy had just stepped into a cage they did not understand. And now, the cage was closing. The first strike. The flagship Bloodfang shook with fear and chaos. The bridge was filled with alarms, flashing red lights, and the sound of terrified voices. Another ship had just vanished. No fire, no wreckage, no signal. It was as if something swallowed it whole. Admiral Xylar's face turned red with fury. He slammed his fist on the command chair. "Find them," he roared. "Scan again. Show me where those ships went." His officers obeyed, their hands flying across glowing consoles, but every scan returned the same answer. Nothing, no debris, no trace, just silence. Captain Rylox's voice was tight. "Sir, we are not fighting a weak enemy. We are being hunted." Xylar glared at him, his pride wounded. "Nonsense. It is a trick, an illusion. Humans cannot erase warships this size. Fire the plasma batteries. Search every shadow, every orbit. Burn this system clean." The order was carried out. Thousands of alien warships opened fire, plasma beams and missiles lighting up the dark. The empty skies of Sol became storms of fire, burning across planets and moons, but they hit nothing. The weapons struck only emptiness. Explosions tearing through space where no enemy was. And then, it began. One by one, massive human warships revealed themselves, not with bright lights or loud announcements, but with deathly silence. Dark shapes slid out of the shadows between planets, their hulls black as night, their size beyond imagination. They moved with precision, faster and sharper than the aliens thought possible. "Contacts," an officer screamed. "Unknown vessels, multiple, surrounding us." The screens filled with shapes, each one massive, each one cloaked until this moment. The first strike came without warning, a beam of light, so thin it was almost invisible, cut through space. It sliced across one alien dreadnought, splitting, it in half as if it were made of glass. The ship didn't explode, it simply fell apart in silence. Its crew never even had time to scream. Panic ripped through the fleet. "Shields up," officers shouted. "Return fire." But every blast of alien plasma passed harmlessly into the void. The human warships moved like shadows, vanishing before weapons could hit, appearing again in different positions, striking with perfect accuracy. Another alien cruiser vanished, in a flash of light, then another, and another. The fleet that once seemed unstoppable was falling apart, on the bridge. Rylox whispered, his hands shaking. They knew we were coming. They were waiting for us. His words were drowned by screams from other ships, desperate transmissions filling the comms. "This is the Iron Maw. Engines destroyed. We're..." Static, then silence. "This is Fangbreaker. They're inside the shields. They're..." Silence. The voices cut off one by one. Xylar refused to accept it. His pride was stronger than reason. "No. Hold formation. Fire everything. They cannot stand against us," he shouted, but even his voice trembled now. For on the screen something terrifying appeared. A single human ship emerged from the darkness. Its size dwarfed even the largest Kortok dreadnought. Its black hull absorbed the light of nearby stars. Its surface shifted with strange energy patterns that no alien technology could read. The crew stared in horror. What is that?" one officer stammered. Rylox's mouth went dry. "It is human." The massive warship fired once, just once, and an entire squadron of alien cruisers vanished in silence. Not destroyed, not shattered, gone. The crews screamed, begging for orders, begging for safety. But there was none. Far away in the Galactic Council, the news arrived. Silent reports, broken signals, desperate last messages, all telling the same story. The Kortok fleet, undefeated in 164 battles, was being erased. Not even wreckage remained. Delegates stared in disbelief. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was a lie. Others grew pale, realizing the truth. "The humans," one whispered, "the humans are not defending, they are exterminating." Back at Sol, the slaughter continued. Alien ships fired wildly, but every blast struck nothing. Every human strike was perfect, precise, merciless. Rylox turned to the Admiral, his voice breaking. "Sir, we must retreat. This is no battle. This is a trap we cannot survive." But Xylar, filled with rage and arrogance, refused. His eyes blazed with madness. "No, we are the Kortok. We do not run. We conquer. Fire again." His words echoed across the doomed bridge. Outside, another beam of human light cut through the fleet, and more Kortok ships disappeared into nothing. The silence of Earth was broken, at last, not by words, not by cries, but by the first strike, and it was a strike that told the galaxy one thing clearly. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the predator. Not even wreckage. The battlefield around Earth had turned into a graveyard of silence, but it was a graveyard without bodies, without broken ships, without fire. The Kortok fleet, proud of 164 victories, was vanishing one piece at a time. Each ship erased so completely that nothing remained. No wreckage floated in the void. No burning hulls drifted through the stars. They were simply gone. Admiral Xylar stood frozen on the bridge of the Bloodfang, his face pale, his voice unsteady. For the first time in his life, he had no command to give. Around him, officers shouted, scanners blared, comms filled with desperate cries. "This is the Spear of Dawn. Engines cut, something inside the hull. We can't..." Static, then silence, the Voidfang reporting. "We see them, shadows everywhere, we can't..." Silence. Every channel ended the same way. A scream, a whisper, then nothing. "Captain." Rylox clutched the console with trembling hands, his voice low but certain. "They are not destroying us, sir. They are erasing us." Xylar snapped his head toward him, rage flashing. "No! No one can do this, not humans, they are weak." But even Xylar's own voice cracked. For outside the viewport, another massive human warship slid silently from the void, its shape monstrous, its size so large it blocked the stars behind it. No, Lights flashed from its hull. No banners, no signals, only silence. Then, in an instant, another Kortok cruiser vanished. Like a candle snuffed out by an unseen hand, panic spread like fire. Crews ran through corridors, shouting. Some tried to launch escape pods, but the pods never left. Each one blinked out of existence before reaching open space. Others screamed prayers to gods long forgotten, but no answer came. The Bloodfang shook violently as one of its sister ships disappeared just meters away, leaving only empty blackness in its place. Rylox whispered, his voice breaking. Not even wreckage, not even dust. Far away in the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. News came in broken fragments, frightened scouts sending signals from the edge of Sol, drones transmitting images of vanishing warships. One delegate stood, shaking. It is impossible. Ships cannot simply vanish. Another replied, his voice hollow. And yet they do. The humans have a weapon the galaxy cannot understand. The chamber filled with shouting, fear, denial. But beneath it all was one truth no one could hide. The galaxy had underestimated. Earth back in orbit, the Kortok tried to fight back. Dozens of warships locked their weapons onto a single human shadow, firing everything they had. Plasma beams, missiles, radiation cannons. The void lit up with fury. When the light faded, the human ship was gone, not destroyed, not even scratched, simply gone from their sights, only to reappear behind them, silent. Waiting, then came the strike. A beam of light carved through 3 dreadnoughts at once, cutting them apart so quickly they vanished before their crews could scream. The Kortok had no answer, no defense. Admiral Xylar finally broke. His arrogance shattered. He gripped the edge of his chair, his eyes wide with terror. "Retreat!" he shouted, his voice raw. "Retreat now! Pull back!" But it was too late. The retreat order spread across the fleet, but one by one the ships were erased before they could turn. Their engines never lit. Their hulls never moved. Each vessel silenced, swallowed, forgotten. Rylock stared at the dark human ships that circled them, his heart pounding, his voice soft. They are not fighting us like soldiers. They are hunting us like prey. No one answered, for no one dared. Within hours, the mighty fleet was gone. Scanners across Sol reported nothing. The sky was empty again. The ships, the crews, the arrogance, all vanished. Not even wreckage floated. In the silence, the only thing left was fear. On Earth, deep within hidden command bunkers, human generals watched the monitors. The battle had ended exactly as planned, their faces calm, their eyes cold. "Report?" one asked. "All hostiles neutralized." Another replied. "No survivors, no remains." The first general nodded. "Good. Send no transmissions. Let the galaxy wonder what happened here." In the Galactic Council chamber, hours later, silence ruled. Delegates sat pale and trembling. Rumors flew like sparks. Some whispered that Earth had erased the fleet with forbidden weapons. Others claimed humans had struck deals with forces beyond the stars. But the truth was simple and terrifying. Earth had not begged for mercy. Earth had not fought for survival. Earth had chosen to erase its enemy without leaving a single trace. And that truth spread across the galaxy like a shadow. The Kortok, undefeated in 164 battles, had met their 165th enemy. And now, they were nothing. Earth's warning. The Sol system was quiet again. Stars burned as they always had. Planets moved along their paths. The blue Earth spun slowly below. But the silence was not natural. It was the silence left after death. The Kortok fleet was gone. Thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, erased without a single trace. Not even wreckage drifted across space. Not even dust. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most feared conquerors had been silenced. On the flagship Bloodfang, only fragments of crew remained. Officers, huddled at their stations, faces pale with horror, their admiral stood frozen, pride shattered. Admiral Xylar finally collapsed into his chair, his voice a whisper. How can this be? We were undefeated. We were eternal. Captain Rylock stood rigid, his heart pounding, his eyes fixed on the screens that showed nothing but shadows. They were waiting for us, sir, he said quietly. Humans knew we were coming. They planned this. They wanted us to enter their trap. No one argued, because everyone knew it was true. And then the silence was broken. A voice filled the comms, calm and steady. "This is Earth," it said. Every alien officer froze. The voice was human, male, firm, each word cut like steel. "You came with war," the voice continued. "You came with arrogance. You believed yourself untouchable." The bridge crew trembled. Some fell to their knees. Xylar clenched his fists, but his hands shook. The voice pressed on. "Earth does not seek war. We did not challenge your empire, but you brought fire to our skies, and so we answered." The humans paused, letting silence sink in again, letting the aliens feel the weight of every word. Rylox whispered, "They are speaking to us. To all of us." Indeed, the transmission was not private. It echoed across the galaxy. Every council chamber, every outpost, every species tuned in. The message was for all, not just the Kortok. The human voice grew colder, sharper. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness. Do not mistake our patience for fear. We are not prey. We are not your subjects. We are not another mark in your book of victories." The bridge crew listened in silence, tears of fear forming in their eyes. Even Admiral Xylar could not find words. His arrogance had been torn apart. The voice spoke the final warning. "If you bring war to Earth, you will not return. This is not a promise, this is not a threat, it is a truth, written now in the void where your fleet once stood." The transmission ended. In the Galactic Council, chaos erupted again. Delegates shouted. Some demanded Earth be destroyed at once. Others screamed that no ship should ever approach Earth again. But under the shouting was a heavier silence, because they all knew the truth. Earth had spoken, only once, and it was enough. Back on the Bloodfang, the crew sat frozen. Admiral Xylar lowered his head, his voice shaking. They erased us. All of us. We cannot win." Rylox clenched his jaw, his heart filled with fear but also with grim respect. He finally understood. Humans had never been weak. They had simply waited until the galaxy pushed them too far. On Earth, deep in command bunkers, generals watched the Council's response. One of them smirked, his voice calm. "They are afraid now," another nodded. "Good. Let them stay afraid. We will not boast of this victory. We will not parade our strength. We will remain silent, and they will remember." They turned off the transmission systems, returning Earth to silence once again. That night, across the galaxy, the story spread like wildfire, from smugglers on desert moons to kings on golden thrones. Everyone whispered of Earth, of the battle where the mighty Kortok vanished, of the warning that no one dared to ignore. Children shivered at bedtime stories of the humans. Soldiers dreamed of shadows swallowing their fleets. Admirals studied the maps of Sol and felt their hands tremble. The warning had been spoken once, and it echoed across the stars. Bring war to Earth, and you will not return. Fear of the unknown. The galaxy was never the same after the 165th battle. The Kortok fleet, once proud and undefeated, had vanished, not defeated in combat, not scattered into wreckage, simply erased. Billions across the stars whispered of Earth, the quiet planet that never begged, never threatened, never answered the arrogance of the Empire. Until it was too late. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, silence ruled. Delegates who once mocked humanity now sat pale and trembling, their voices weak, their courage gone. Every species remembered the warning, bring war to Earth, and you will not return. It was not just a sentence. It had become law, unspoken, but powerful. Merchants who once laughed at humans now avoided Sol entirely. Admirals who once planned Earth's conquest erased the planet from their maps. Even the Kortok survivors, scattered and broken, never spoke of it again, for fear the silence would return to claim them too. But in dark corners of the galaxy, fear turned into something worse. Legends began to grow, whispered tales of what truly lived on Earth. Some said the humans had built weapons that could bend reality itself. Others, claimed they had bargained with forces older than the stars. And some believed humans were never weak at all, that they had been predators wearing the mask of prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Whatever the truth, no one dared to test it again. On Earth, life continued quietly. Children laughed in playgrounds, farmers worked in fields, cities glowed at night. To outsiders, Earth looked ordinary, fragile, peaceful, but deep beneath mountains, inside oceans, and hidden among the stars, humanity's shadow fleet remained, silent, patient, waiting, for humans had learned long ago that true power did not need to roar. True power only needed to be shown once. Captain Rylox, one of the few survivors, lived. With the memory forever he had seen it with his own eyes. The shadows in Seoul, the silent erasure of ships, the cold human warning. Every night he woke in terror, hearing the human voice in his dreams. Do not mistake our silence for weakness. He tried to tell others, but no one listened. They did not want to hear the truth because the truth was too terrifying. The galaxy adapted in strange ways. When new wars broke out, species argued, but no one called for Earth to join. When traders mapped safe routes, they drew circles around Seoul, leaving it untouched. When politicians debated power, they always spoke quietly when the word human was mentioned. It was not respect, not alliance, not even hatred. It was fear, the kind of fear that seeps into bones, the kind of fear that never fades, the kind of fear that turns into silence, and so Earth remained what it always had been, quiet, patient, watching. They did not expand across the stars like greedy empires. They did not boast of their victory. They simply waited, knowing the galaxy now understood, because every admiral, every council member, every soldier carried the same nightmare in their hearts. When the 165th Fleet entered Seoul, nothing returned, not even wreckage, not even dust. At the end of it all, the Kortok name faded from history. Their arrogance erased along with their fleet. But the name of Earth grew heavy, whispered in fear from one world to the next. A single question haunted the galaxy forever. What had humanity truly unleashed that day? No one knew, and no one ever dared to find out. The story of Earth became more than history. It became legend. It became a warning written in silence. And in the silence of the stars, one truth remained. The galaxy laughed at humans once. They never laughed again.